remember wondering why anything. Like at school in chemistry, Mr. Lewis said, if you mix these two things, it goes blue.
Yeah.
And I had my hand up. He said, yes, Mackesy. I said, why are we doing this? And everyone looked around going, why? What?
Yeah, so not why does it happen?
Yeah, but why are we doing
it?
this? I think it was never meant to be a book, but I made the drawings for friends.
Yeah.
You know, I kept thinking about things, you know, and they just came out of me. And then I put one on Instagram, and I think it was the one, what's the bravest thing you've ever said? Help, said the horse. And I got such a reaction from kind of really shocking, like the Canadian military. I think people said, can we use this drawing for guys coming back from service who've got PTSD, they're in trouble. Just when we putting the book together, this lovely Irish guy called Colin who helped me, and I said to him, I just think we should make a treasure that you can hold on to, that people can feed on, get something from, to give them something they need. It was this, we both had tears pouring down our faces. Who knows if it'll sell or not? We need to make this.
Yeah.
We just have to make this.
Yeah.
Virgin Radio.
With a pen and a piece of paper, our next guest made the world fall in love, and he's back to do it again. The 5th anniversary edition of The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse is out today. So please welcome the man, the book, the Oscar and the inspiration as we have a parley with Charlie Mackesy.
Charlie Mackesy, control round of applause, please, for Charlie. Charlie Mackesy. Charlie Mackesy. Charlie Mackesy. Charlie Mackesy. Charlie Mackesy. Charlie.
I'm overwhelmed.
I know you are.
Thank you.
What do you want to not talk about?
You choose.
See, I don't really mind. Charlie is the least silly person we ever have on the show. He never does interviews, really. You'll never hear an interview with him or see one with him unless maybe you tune into this show now and again. Charlie, I know this is the thing you like least do.
No, I like you, talking to you.
I know you like
best.
me, and I know you like me, and I love you.
Thank you. Love you.
We've got to talk about the book a bit. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please do.
You sure you're okay with that?
No. Listen.
All right. So The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, Charlie Mackesy, the 5th anniversary limited edition, the global bestseller. How are you with the success of this book? How is that with you?
Do you know, honestly, I mean, the best bit about it, I always say this, and it's really, really true, is I get letters from people telling me stuff of how it's affected them, or at school or a hospital, or someone says, or, you know, I haven't been well and I have the book under my pillow, keeps me going. That to me is a success. I'm not aware really beyond that, you know, that's to me the best bit about it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
When you drew the boy the first ever time, did he look like the boy we know, or was there an evolution?
I think it definitely evolved. He was a bit squidgier, rounder, I think.
Right, interesting.
Yeah, I think he got First drawings were with him, the mole. He was about the same size as the mole.
And was it a conscious change? Did you think you had to change it, or he just said, "I need to change"?
I think he probably said he needed to change. I'm not. None of it's particularly conscious. That's the weird thing.
Yeah,
about
exactly.
It. You know, I think they just sort of came out of me and scribbling away obsessively.
And like you try, because I was driving in this morning thinking, what does Charlie want to talk about? What does he want to? I don't ever want to make you feel uncomfortable. I love the fact you come and see us. It's great.
I love coming here.
But I've seen the horse you chose, the horse we now know. Yeah. Was it always that horse? Was it a different horse? How did Charlie choose the horse?
I didn't. He honestly just started drawing the horse. And that's the horse. Because
it's a pretty, design classic horse. He's a pretty cool horse.
It's quite a cool horse. The thing is, I like all their shapes because they're really different. I like the roundness of the mole.
Yeah.
This sort of silky, slivery kind of. The fox, I like the shape. How he moves. And the horse is just strong and simple.
Because the boy he's a bit Christopher Robin like. Isn't he?
Yeah, people say I wasn't aware of that, to be truthful.
He's a bit E.T. like as well. No, he is. If you look at his profile there, he's got a particularly big head and quite a thin neck.
No one has ever said that, but yeah, you're probably right.
And then maybe all this is in there, in you.
Who knows?
Because E.T. Extremely vulnerable, extremely relatable, completely unthreatening. You know, welcoming, totally innocent, not dissimilar to the boy.
Yeah.
And this is 5 years old now, this book.
Yeah, it's
That's
mad,
what we're
isn't it?
celebrating.
Yeah.
5 years on. Has your life changed significantly? I know lots of people wanted to change it. Did you resist that? Were you like water? Did you find it easy to swim out of all those sort of snares that perhaps were being laid for you?
Well, I live in a place. I spend most of my time in a place where you know it's a very small village, and it's just same old Charlie with a hole in his jumper getting a coffee.
Yeah.
And nothing's changed. What has changed, you know, is that I do hear from a lot of people. I know, like here in the street, someone will come up to me and say "oi," and then not say much.
Yeah.
And their eyes have well up, and they go, "Hello, how you doing?" Wow. And that floors me. And they just went. That happened yesterday, and he just went, "Yeah, cheers, mate," and walked off.
And is it the stillness that they respond to? What do you
think?
think?
It varies a lot. You know, it's always a surprise. Everyone seems to be different.
Yeah.
With their reactions to it and to me. Yeah, it's always really moving.
And you say that you talk about the letters, and
Yeah.
that's the bit that you love, and that's the bit
And
that
the
you
chat,
work on.
yeah, and hearing, yeah.
There are other things that have happened,
Yeah.
though.
Yes.
So do you park those? Do you deal with them? Do you compartmentalize them or not? Success, whatever that is.
I don't think too much about it, or if I do, I think about what I'm going to do next, or I feel grateful, or I just sort of try to play what's in front of me and not think too much. I don't think too widely.
Right.
You know, I just get through the day. I'm making another book at the moment, so I just think of that and think of the conversations they'll have and why. And, you know, I think I'm not that aware of the wider context, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and it's not because you're trying not to be aware.
No.
It's just because of how and who you are.
I don't know. I mean, I probably should have bought some better clothes.
Or not.
Oh no! Yeah,
It doesn't
I'm
matter.
serious. So I do think, you know, Charlie, you could probably, you know, get some.
Has anybody made a film about you? I mean, you wouldn't let them, would you? I don't suppose.
I don't. It wouldn't be that interesting.
Oh, it'd be fascinating. It'd be absolutely fascinating. Alan Yentob would have a field day with you. Yeah, I'd love to see a Yentob film. I'd love to see you. I'd love to see, you know, you in a sort of Francis Bacon kind of. I know you can't really say that about yourself, but I can. No. And so, what was young Charlie like then? Were you always like this?
Like what?
Like you are now.
Always pretty sort of bumbling around. Just
no. You see?
No, genuinely. Like, you know, I was brought up in the rural kind of Northumberland.
Right.
You know, I spent a lot of time in the fields, wandering around and looking at sheep and talking to everyone, the locals. I liked all that. You know.
Right.
And I did spend quite a lot of time. I remember being under a railway bridge once in the pouring rain of the River Tyne, looking at the rivets. And I remember looking at the rivets thinking, I wonder who put those in, what sort of a day he was having. Why did he put those rivets in? What did he really want? What was he scared of? He's not here anymore. You know, I was 9, wondering about the person who put the rivets in.
Right,
I'll always remember that. Like, and I concluded he put them in probably ultimately because he wanted to be loved. Maybe he wanted to eat as well, because have a roof over his head. But beyond all that, I think, I walked home thinking maybe that's just what we really want.
Yeah, that's very informative.
I don't know. I mean, people would argue, well, you know, he wants more than that. But I mean, I think most things we do in life are just the shoes we wear, you know, whatever the jump is just because ultimately we want to be loved and to love. It's all going around us, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they do say that attention is the most frequent substitute for love. If you can't get love, you crave attention.
Very good. Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
And if you can't get attention from somebody else, you pay attention to detail, which is the love in those bolts of the bridge of the guy. Maybe. Maybe. You know.
Yeah.
But
I did say, in answer to your question, I remember wondering why anything. Like at school in chemistry, Mr. Lewis said, if you mix these two things, it goes blue.
Yeah.
And I had my hand up and he said, yes, Mackesy. I said, why are we doing this?
Mm.
And there was everyone looked around going, why? What?
Yeah, so not why does it happen, but
yeah, but why are we
doing
this? Like,
yeah.
why?
I love that.
For the teacher was, I was this nightmare.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you all the way. It's like, why do we do anything? We talked about it before we came on the air. It's the adding. We wake up complete, and
There you go.
It's the I am that I am. It's in the Bible. It's what Moses, screamed at God, "Who are you? I am that I am." And it's funny because if you learn French or you learn German, the first thing you learn is
je
the
suis.
to be verb, je suis, or ich bin. It's the first thing you learn, and then usually after that it's je pense or je parle or je veux. So then it's the senses. But you start with the I am. Why are we always taught in foreign languages to learn the I am first? And then guess what we do? We start to add.
Yeah.
And so that's the ultimate why, isn't it?
Do you know what's weird? Last night at the bath, I was thinking about this, how when someone says, how old are you? You say, I am in English.
Yeah.
But in French, it's, I have these many years.
Yeah.
But I don't think your age is, it's not it's not who you are. Your age is not who you are.
Yeah.
But it's weird that we say, I am 30.
Well, they say, the French have got it right. I have 100 years.
Yeah. It's not who you are, though.
As we should know. And that's why we should therefore say that we have anger, not I am angry.
Very
I
good.
currently have anger. My energy is currently anger. And then I am happy. I have happiness.
Yeah.
So the French
these things will pass. It's not who you
it's
are.
interesting though, because the French have it right with the food, but I think they still say
They sure do.
Oh, did they say I have anger? The French?
Oh, yes, like I'm tired is je sommeil. I'm not
Je
tired.
sommeil.
Well, they
I
got that
have
one right, haven't they?
tiredness, Yeah.
They got round of
Is that
applause for
right?
the French.
Look
please.
at that.
Please, what's French for a round of applause?
I don't know.
Félicitations.
Les Français. And so when you were 9 under the bridge, I get that. I relate to that so much. I have an under the bridge memory.
Do you?
Very similar to that. Yeah, very similar to that. But mine was the concrete, and it was a mod. Back in the day, then a modern bridge, a new bridge, and it was where the concrete diagonally met as the verges sloped down towards the road, the grass verges on either side, there was concrete in the middle under the bridge, and it was where that diagonal concrete met the underside of the bridge.
Okay.
And I remember running my hands across the concrete, thinking, I remember that a lot.
How old were you then?
I was probably a little bit older, maybe 10 or 11. I can't remember.
Did you have questions about it? What did you think?
I just found it. I was very peaceful there. I was just at peace there, and I remember it a lot because it was a very visceral thing.
It's funny how you have these memories, crystal clear memories.
Yeah.
Of times like that when you're thinking.
And the thing about adding, your book is very similar to that because obviously the fact that you've written this, you've thought it, you've written it, you've imagined it, and you've drawn it, that is all addition. Because I could say to you, like you said to the science teacher, why are we doing this? Why did you do this?
It's a really good question. I think it was never meant to be a book, but I made the drawings for friends.
Yeah.
I kept thinking about things, and they just came out of me. And then I put one on Instagram, and I think it was the one, what's the bravest thing you've ever said, help, said the horse. And I got such a reaction from kind of really shocking, like the Canadian military. I think people said, can we use this drawing for guys coming back from service who've got PTSD, they're in trouble. Of course. And that was, so I think I just kept going because I felt like whatever I was doing, what the theme that was running in was helping someone somewhere. And therefore, but I didn't think it would be a book. I just thought, I'll do another drawing today. What will I do? I'll do another. And so I would just keep. It just came out of me.
Right.
And then at some point, 2 years later, it seemed like there was some kind of narrative that we could arrange. But essentially, it wasn't. The answer to your question, why, it was just a daily thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't have asked you why had you not
it's a
talked
good
about
question.
the story with the science teacher.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because my response to anybody that questions why is always, well, why not?
Yeah.
Because usually...
why not's a good answer.
Yeah, unless it's something terrible,
Terrible,
then it's obviously why not.
Yeah.
And therefore you'd reverse it and say why.
Yeah.
But I find it fascinating. We've got to talk. I know you...
But can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I remember right before when we put the book together, this lovely Irish guy called Colin who helped me. He worked with me to. He's brilliant at putting books together. And I said to him in the garden in Brixton, in the cold, blue, the amazing frosty morning, we sat outside with a cup of coffee, and I said to him, I just think we should make a treasure that you can hold on to, that people can feed on, get something from, to give them something they need. It was this. We both had tears pouring down our faces, and we just sat there, and I said, it doesn't. who knows if it'll sell or not. We need to make this.
Yeah.
We just have to make this.
Yeah.
And so we did. And I, kept scribbling away and emailing him drawings, and he would place them. It was a journey. And in that journey, I lost my dog, who I love very much, and things happened. And I made the whole book from one socket in the house in Brixton, because it was sort of kind of mad, really, thinking back at it. But we knew why. We did. I had this burning sense that we had to make it because we had to.
Because that's the answer, isn't it?
I just had to do it.
Yeah.
And it was quite criticised. I remember thinking, well, we're leaving blank pages for people to feel. There's no page numbers. It's quite an odd book. It's like it was just instinct. Just put them in, give people, something to hold on to. And then I remember getting a letter in the pandemic from a nurse who said, every night, she said, I've lost 2 friends, died, and this book, I hold on to it at night. And I just wept when I read that. I remember the conversation with Colin. I'm thinking, oh God.
Yeah.
So
the tears there.
Yeah.
So the tears that you shared with your friend, and you're tearing up now just talking about this, right? The tears that you shared with your friend, what was the difference between those tears and the tears of empathy with the nurse? Because the thing that moves me most to tears is love.
Yeah.
I can't bear it.
Yeah.
Because it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So what was the difference between those sets of tears? I just find that really intriguing.
The tears I had with Colin were more a sense of what we could do.
So why did that make you cry? Why does that make you cry?
Because we had a feeling that someone somewhere in the future might hold on to this.
Right.
Yeah, and then I got letters from people saying I chose to stay. I was going to exit.
Ultimately stay.
Yeah.
Or ultimately exit.
Yeah. So just a little note. This sort of stuff. So the sitting in the garden in Brixton was definitely like, if we do this, we have to. It has to be a treasure that someone somewhere in the future can read through and feel less alone, feel more connected, feel more hopeful, feel less of a freak, feel, whatever it is they feel, and give them something that helps them choose life.
So when you tear up now,
yeah,
what is it? Because you're sad? Is it because you're overwhelmed?
Not sad.
Is it? So what is it then?
It's very moving to have scribbled away on bits of paper and assembled them into what looks like a book, and then years here.
What looks like a book? You're so
Well, it's not.
What looks like this anyway, brilliant book. You mean?
But the point is, it makes me cry because, somewhere I won't meet these people, but it's given them something that I hoped it would.
I've got so many WhatsApps this morning. The one lady said, can you thank Charlie? I must have bought 20 copies of his book, because every time I want to say thank you to somebody or tell them I love them, I do it by giving them one of his books.
I love that.
Because it says I love you much more than I could. The fact that
really?
I mean, come on. No wonder you walk around crying all day.
Too much.
Oh, right, I know how to
you.
stop you crying. Let's talk about the Oscars, which I know you don't want to do, right? But we've got to, because your film won an Oscar. We've got to talk about it, Charlie. I'm sorry.
No, don't apologise. It's all right.
So Matthew, your mate, produced the film.
Yeah.
You were going to get it funded. He was going to get it funded, and then you said, "What the heck? Let's just do it ourselves."
Yes.
And then it won a blooming Oscar. Just tell us a bit about that whole journey, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, Matthew believed in it, and he said, let's try and do it ourselves. So we did. Got a team together. We made it on Zoom over 2 years. Sort of lockdown times. I'd never done it before, so they had to teach me how to make a film, and then so I worked with animators, and cast it, helped direct it, thinking all the time. When you feel completely out of your depth. Every second of the day. What are we doing? Is this even ever going to happen? But it was all instinct, really. instinct and trying to. Every morning on the Zooms, we'd say, "Why are we doing this?" Actually, we did.
Yeah.
And on the script, every page of script, we said, "These are the reasons why we're doing this."
Right.
So we knew all the time. It wasn't just it was to try to help people feel less alone, more connected, more hope, that kind of stuff. And so that's what pushed it along, was the desire to bring the book to reach people who perhaps wouldn't want to read a book. So yeah, and it's, I thought it would be a miracle if we managed to finish it, if it was ever seen. I remember when it was announced it was going to be on at Christmas on the telly, I lost it.
What?
I lost it. Just, I couldn't.
In a good way?
Couldn't believe.
You're the only person who couldn't believe it was going to be shown on Christmas Day. The book had sold like 50 billion copies. Why would anybody want to watch this? There's 50 billion reasons why people would want to watch this.
But I have to say, credit to everyone I worked with, because they were so patient. Cara and Matthew and Peter Painter.
Do you ever lose it?
Lose what?
Do you ever lose your,
In what, lose it, like what?
Like, do you ever lose your cool?
What, get cross?
Yeah.
Do you know, to be truth, I lost it about 3 weeks ago. I had some wild ducks that I looked after because they kept getting killed.
Yeah.
And no, but my neighbour had this massive fireworks display, and my dog had a heart attack, and the ducks all left, and I was really cross because they were loud, and so I was. But I didn't talk to him. I just screamed into the pillow.
Right. Did it help?
Yeah.
Good.
Because no one could hear because the fireworks were so loud.
Oh my god.
And the ducks never came back.
So funny. So forgive me, I don't know. Did you go to LA to get the?
I did
to receive
LA.
it? What was that like?
Yeah.
That's
was bizarre.
What an interesting journey for you.
Yeah.
That would be.
Do you know one of my big regrets is? You know when you're really tired, like really, really.
Did you wear
tired?
that jumper?
No.
Did you dress up, Charlie Mackesy?
Do you know what? Lovely Matthew, he had a suit made for the both of us.
Right.
So I did wear a suit.
All right. Sorry, I interrupted. Go on.
No, it's fine. What was I saying?
You were saying you turned up, you went there. And...
Yeah, I did, yeah. I was saying about being tired. You can't really, when you're tired, you can't really connect with things. You're just getting through, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I was doing so many interviews, and actually, one interview. I'll always remember one interview. A Hollywood kind of reporter, sort of news thing. He asked me how I felt about the Oscars, and I remember saying, they're nothing like they look. And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, they look like da da da, but they're better than that." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Well, I've met people, when you nominate stuff, you sit next to people who make films, and all kinds of people, and they have hard lives." And they told me, the guy who was a producer for him said his wife's got breast cancer. We talked about that, and the table was really raw. And I said, none of this comes through. Like, these are amazing people, and making films is hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah, and they're brave, and and yet all you seem to show is the sort of the bling. And I'm like, I'm more interested in, the rawness of it.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen that until I got here. So it's a good charade, but there's underneath it, it's better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Well put, by the way. The fact that any film ever gets made is a miracle if you know about films.
Yeah.
It's like when Elon Musk talks about cars and about the fact that to make a car.
Yes.
If anybody makes a car, an original car, then that is a miracle.
Yeah.
Because it's 100,000 moving parts, and if any single one of them doesn't work, the car doesn't work, or you get sued or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just anybody who does anything brilliantly, be careful what you're going to say about them.
Yeah,
or
so
about
true.
Their body of work.
You have no idea.
You have no idea.
No.
You have no, I can't build a garden shed. I don't know how you do that. And then I go on YouTube and I watch people doing, going, I don't know how they did that. I just watched them do it, but I still don't know how they did it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Or laying some concrete slabs in the garden.
But isn't that brilliant though? Because they
perfectly.
can do what you do. So everybody seems to do something, don't they?
It's
do you know what I
amazing,
mean?
mate. It's amazing.
But when I see animated films now, I'm in awe of it. I think, how did you do
Of course, I get it. So 5 years on from The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, celebrating its fifth anniversary this Christmas. I won't even ask you how many millions of copies the book sold, because I bet you don't know, do you?
I actually don't know.
Right, but it's tens of millions of copies.
It's not. I don't know. I don't
course
think it's
it is.
tens of millions. I don't think it is. No.
I think you're
No,
wrong.
I don't think. I'll find out. I'll let you know. It's not tens of millions.
By the way, it is. So let's not.
Anyway,
Charlie Mackesy is the most difficult person in the world to fall out with, but I think I may be on the verge of doing it, which I didn't think was going to happen when I woke up this morning. But because what's his name? The subtle art of not giving a cauliflower. Mark. What's his name? Mark Manson.
It's
right?
actually a great book.
It's a great book.
Yeah,
and Mark, he is first to admit he didn't know what to do after that book was so successful, because it was his life's ambition to become a successful author, and he just wasn't happy for it to happen with his. He wasn't ready for it to happen with his first book, and he suffered really severe depression. He talks about it all, and he just didn't. He went into meltdown because
afterwards.
Yeah, because the book was so successful.
Yeah,
and it took away what he thought was going to be the rest of his life. I don't think that's been your experience, but you have had a similar situation. So what are the dynamics as far as that's concerned?
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see, I mean, everyone has a different reaction to success, but I think, I did a drawing years ago, before anything's happened. It was the boy saying to the horse, "What do you think about fame?" And the horse said, "Who's he?"
Yeah.
And I think that's how you treat it, is that it's not who you are. Nothing's changed. You're the same person. The only thing that has changed is that I get to do this kind of thing, and I hear from people more.
Yeah.
And I cry a bit more, and I can afford a new jumper, which I clearly don't seem to have.
Well, there's so few shops in London. Where would you possibly find one?
But so for me, that's the big change is connection, and just I think people I hear from, so many people, particularly during the pandemic, for people in hospitals and stuff, the courage of human beings, like just the things they said, what they were facing, what they were enduring, what they feared, and one woman said, "I got 4 or 5 days to live."
Yeah.
But I just want to say thank you. It's that kind of stuff, and I'm facing, just tough things, and that I think it's made me more awake and aware of the beauty of the human spirit.
Yeah,
because it's phenomenal, and it's hard. It's sometimes hard to see, especially what's going on in the world. But humans are really beautiful.
Yeah, and the blessing and the blight of being given consciousness.
There you go.
Because that's our gift, and it's also our biggest challenge on a daily basis,
really
because we know what's happening to us, whereas other species aren't necessarily.
That's very true.
And that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where we are. What are you going to do with all this? Because you say that's the most special thing. You are not somebody who will let that go unserved. How are you going to serve that now? What are you doing? Is it something to do with what you're doing next?
Yeah, so I always felt that, because it was 5 years ago, clearly, since we did that book, and there've been many drawings since. And I was never sure if I'd do another book. I wasn't certain, but it feels like there's I've surrounded in my scrubby room with thousands of drawings, and it feels like they're wanting to be, something needs to be assembled. There are drawings since that, go on a bit further from where we were. So I'm doing that, and it's actually really hard.
Yeah, but they're in a way, not taking anything away from you and your agency, because you're the one creating the drawings. They will assemble themselves, I sense, is what you are.
I think so.
To.
They seem to be doing that.
Yeah.
There seems to be some themes running through,
right.
particularly with the boy's deeper sphere, which is being left or losing his friends, and what he does with that.
Right.
And what he's learnt from them, how he applies it.
So when do we get to read this or see this?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I mean,
good luck, the publishers.
No, I love them.
No deadlines here. No deadlines where Mackesy's concerned. Yeah, well, we've had other people like, no, you haven't. You definitely not had another Charlie Mackesy.
They're so lovely, and they're kind of like, "Are you all right, Charlie?" Yeah. Just trod on another drawing, but we'll get there.
All right.
So thank you.
Well, it's great to see you again.
I love you, Chris.
I love you too. I really do love you.
And
I love the
and I hope
you.
what we've said made sense.
I don't care if it didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't care if it didn't. Let it assemble itself in the future somewhere. Hopefully. Vassos, thank you for being here to witness
Yeah.
whatever that was that we just did.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know.
Thank you for having
me. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
That's Charlie Mackesy in a very rare interview, let me tell you. And we'll do it again, maybe in another 5 years' time.
So. I hope if you're listening and you enjoyed that and you feel loved and hopeful.
Great.
Yeah.
Let's have a hug, shall we?
Yeah.
Come over here.
All right.
Chris, Charlie Mackesy is the most adorable human I've ever met. How authentic, gentle, what an inspiration, says Val. Val is 70. She's a regular listener to the show. She's been in to see us. She's been working in care most of her life. She's she is a saint, and she thinks you're one of the greatest, but she's one of the greatest people I've ever met, and you're her greatest person. So,
give her my love.
Elizabeth says, what a lovely surprise to get to hear this lovely and beautiful, calming, peaceful interview with Charlie. Thank you for calming Chris down. No, I did that bit. I have an amazing sense of calm from the inside out now. Lisa says, worked with many others in intensive care during COVID. On a pinboard next to the staff room table was a copy of a book, a page from Charlie's book about being afraid, but doing it together and carrying on. That beautiful image and the words got me and others through many difficult days. Please thank him. That's one page from your book pinned to the drawing, the notice board. I know. It's great, isn't it? It's great. Yeah, Andrea in Beccles, give Charlie a knighthood. I'm sure he's been offered one. I'm sure he said no. I'm not going to ask you about that. I love his book and had no idea he's so beautiful as well. Thank you, Charlie, for chatting with Chris. Mark says, thank you, Charlie, for your amazing book. Such joy in this crazy world. And look who was in my bag of wonky carrots. She had a mole-shaped carrot. She's given him a little Sharpie eye. That's it. Right, we got to go. Thank you, Vassos. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Have a lovely Thursday.
Virgin Radio.